they put all of the video and all this sex acts out there to really convict him on that, but use these other charges to put the conviction on paper.
Real life.
It ain't real life. Just ain't real. Real life street stars. You know what time it is.
Why not give him a bond? Why not?
Because he was denied bond, right?
He was denied bond
Why
today.
not though?
So there's a couple of different reasons. There is the fact that we all know now that the judge holds Combs' future in his hands. He's going to decide how long he spends behind bars. He hasn't quite been there a year. Maybe the judge is saying to himself, I'm going to give him a year and then put him on parole or not parole, but I might just give him time served after a year. And so I'm just gonna let him sit in there until sentencing. It could have been the fact that, like the judge stated, that his defense team even said that Sean Combs had a violent tendency. And so that could be, that was part of the reason why the judge said that he wasn't going to release him. But even then, right, and I'm just being on both sides, playing both sides on this one. Even if he was violent, he could have put him in confinement into his home with an ankle monitor on and basically said who he could and could not see. The judge could have done that and released him.
Yeah, that's what I'm like.
But at the same time, because of that video and because of the outcry and the heinous acts that he's done, the judge could have also said, the jury did their job, but I'm not going to reward you for not getting sentenced for RICO or sex trafficking. I'm not going to reward you for that. You've gotten your reward. You're not going to do more than the prosecution has asked for 20 years, but you're not going to do life.
How old was that video that? You know how old that was?
I think what did they say? 20, 27, 20. Yeah. It was some time. Speaking of that video, because I took some heat on what I said about the employee security they called.
Right.
And when I said it was extortion. The reason why I stated it was extortion and I said that he made that call, at the time that the security guard called his supervisor or supervisors, because I think two other individuals took part of that money. Right. At the time that he made that call to them and said it would be this much, I don't care if someone asked you for a tape or told you, to get rid of a tape or they'll take care of you. You fed into that. You fed into that. And so that's where that could have been looked at as extortion, because now you realize that they want something and you placed a value or a dollar on that in order to turn it over. That's where I was coming with that as far as that call that was made. So I know a lot of people didn't like that, but I mean, it is what it is.
As if you were being a prosecutor, right? Mm-hmm. How would you have handled Diddy in this situation? Like, would you have felt like you've gotten the job done with 2 convictions, or do you think that you could have done more?
I think the prosecution did what they could with what they had.
Right.
Do I think they might have overreached? Yeah. I think I said from the onset that they put all of the video and all this sex acts out there to really convict him on that, but use these other charges to put the conviction on paper. And I think that kind of backfired in a way on them, because I think they did overreach on some of these things because they wanted to prove a point. But I think the prosecution did their job because he's not a nice person. Right? And he is someone who you probably can have concerns about being in general population. Right? He's running around beating women in the hallways of hotels. Think about this. If any of our wives, girlfriends, or mothers were walking in that hall that day and they tried to interfere, could he have done the same thing to them that he did to Cassie? That's something to think about, because that wasn't a regular, that wasn't no Ike Turner. That wasn't no Ike Turner pump, slap, get back in the house. When he picked up his bag and came back and kicked that woman. That's right. Dude, that is, man, look, that is some.
Have you ever seen Enough with Jennifer Lopez?
Yes.
When that coward tries to kick you while you're like the coward he is.
That is, and so that imagery and those acts were such that I think the prosecution did their job to try to prove a point, which is anybody, men, women, whoever you are, if you're out here and you're committing these type of acts, we're going to try to put you away. We're going to try to get you out of here. And I think they did their job when it comes to that.
And this just might be my conspiracy theorist mindset, but do you think that there's a possibility they're preparing to hit him with something else? And that's why he didn't get a bond. Do you think they have something looming and this was just...
No, I don't think so, man. I don't think that they're really looking to come at him with anything else. Now, could one of these states potentially charge? Because you got to remember, Michael Vick had the same situation where the feds came after him and the state wanted a piece as well. Right. And so you could potentially have an issue in dealing with that, because he was found, if I'm not mistaken, within the last 2 years, there may be evidence to show that he was in possession of certain drugs in one of these states.
Right.
That could be a problem. I can't remember or recall right now if they found drugs when they raided the house in Miami.
Right. I think they did find drugs in his house.
And so Miami could come after him with a drug possession.
And that's what I was waiting on, for some type of weird state charge to come up or something like that.
Shout out RealLyfe Street Starz, nigga. Move it. Hey.